All right, guys, I got a fun build, a quick build for you guys. We've got a standard M4 AEG, and we're going to be upgrading it to the max. We're putting in an Inferno Gen 2 Premium Edition FCU. I'll show you how to hook up where I'm going to put the battery. Upgraded Max Hop M4A Pro. Flat bucking, speed trigger, and a 6.01 375 inner barrel. This gun is going to have the works. When this is completed, we're actually going to be putting the battery and the FCU in this stock, which is why I love these stocks. Gives you some good storage options, and we'll be running the line through the handle. So, without further ado, let's get started. All right, first thing we're going to do, as always, we got to disassemble the gun with these two pins. We're just going to push them down and pop them out. Take off the upper receiver. And why don't we go ahead and do the hop-up change out now. Now this is the stock one. Stock one does come with a rotary style. Pretty good. Good stock one. He can use this in another gun, but he wants the max. Let's do it. Get out the inner barrel. New bucking. Don't lose your nub. And we'll get the new hop up. Alright, let's install our bucking. Lining up the groove. There you go. This is the top. Hop up on. I like to line up the groove with the channel at the bottom. Try to get this in the center as much as possible. Put our clip on. Just going to help hold it in place. Let me get my cap. There's an O-ring. Change out the arm on the hop-up using the provided Allen key. Be careful when this screw comes out. Just use my nail and pull out the pin. Also going to, there we go, pinch it, pull it up. Be careful of the spring. Take my new nub. Try to get it in the center as much as possible. Take the spring, put it in place. Try to get the spring and the kind of push pin in there first. Push down. Make sure the spring doesn't go anywhere. Sometimes it'll move around in there. Alright, now the next part, I'll get out my tweezers. And I just want to make sure that the bucking did not move around, which it did not. So push it down. Oh yeah, looks good. Very good. Alright. Get on my arm and just rinse and repeat what we just did. And there we go. So I'm installed. Now the one thing I'm probably going to have to do is after testing, I might need to adjust this more left to the right if the BBs are curving. But so far, this is a good solid build. I'll get my spring on here. Then I'm going to leave it in my upper until I'm ready to put it back on the gun. Very good. Perfect. Alright, let's disassemble the lower. So we're going to take the back end all the way off, just so it's out the way. Take the back cap off so we can access the battery compartment. Disconnect the Deans. Alright, next up, let's flip it over. We're going to take the mag release out. And while I'm here, I'm going to push this pin out. Now we'll do the handle. We'll need to undo the two screws on the handle. Take out the motor. And now there are four Phillips screws in here we need to take out. Once those are out, just pull that off. All right, next up, there is a Phillips screw all the way in the back of your stock. to get that out. Alright, that screw removed. Now your entire stock will come apart. You'll need to push out the existing screw in the washer, and then you'll get all the wires out. Cool. And then pull it out. Pull out the gearbox. Alright, now the next piece is pretty simple. Every single Phillips screw on this thing we're going to remove. Alright, with all the screws removed, what I like to do is I will put a screwdriver in the back so the spring doesn't go anywhere, and I'm just going to lift up slowly until that spring decompresses. Got it. Because this thing will shoot out. Here we are. There's your spring right there. Put that away. Now I'm just going to pull this up slowly. Alright. There's my gearbox. Here's the beauty of HPA, guys. We are going to gut everything out of here. So I'm going to get rid of my gears. Get rid of these. Don't need that. Don't need this. This entire piece, gone. Don't need the springs. Now let's work on this. So the entire wire assembly we do not need. We're going to disconnect that. Take out the trigger as well. He's got a speed trigger. We don't need this one. We're going to take apart the current trigger board. Now here's the thing, guys. The existing screw, we will need the existing screw for this. Alright, so save the screw, but get rid of everything else. Actually, I'm going to take this arm off to get this one off. Cool. Now we'll take out the wire harness out the gearbox. Alright, now before I go any further, I just want to clean up any extra grease that's in here. So give it a good wipe down. Alright, now it's time to unbox the Inferno. Let's check this guy out. Just so you guys know, do not lose these extra O-rings. They're just in case you need to do a rebuild on it. Alright, now this, ladies and gentlemen, this is your new trigger board. Alright, now let's see. Sometimes you have to modify the gearbox for this to fit perfectly. I'm going to drop it in place where the original one was. And I am going to have to make a slight modification. Alright, so if you can see this, so the arm here that controls your selector switch always gets in the way in this corner of the trigger board, right? It's not going to fit flush. It needs to fit flush on that screw. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shave this down. I'm going to take this out. I'm going to shave it down with the file a little bit. Some people will trim it down with the Dremel, but I find that this is more than adequate. So I will now screw in the trigger board and screw back in the selector switch spring catch, whatever the hell you want to call it. See that? Not too bad. We got the trigger board in place, and we're still able to salvage the selector switch spring. So when you tighten the screw down, do not put it super tight, and test out your selector switch that it doesn't catch. Okay? I've seen it happen before where somebody has it on there too tight, and it actually rips this this button off, and then you're out a trigger board. You have to buy a new one. So test it out, and this one here is looking pretty good. So do not over tighten that screw. All right, next up, guys, we're going to take our engine and we're going to install it. We're just going to, first I just want to make sure this will fit, and it does. I'm going to take out my cable here. We're going to put it right into the back. It just screws right in, and it threads pretty easily. It's just, you know, righty-tighty, guys. You can hand tighten it. All right, now let's get our cable out. This is this end will go to the battery. This piece and this piece go in the gearbox. So the 2-pin one will go in the back of your solenoid here. All right, so it's pretty simple, pretty easy. And then the other one goes right into the trigger board. So put the engine in, kind of get everything where we want it. It's just gonna go like this. right into the trigger board. Take a little bit of time, guys. Get a little bit of effort and organize this a little bit. I try to keep all my cables kind of up and kind of out of the way of where your pins are going to go in the gearbox. So something like this would be okay. You know, see, I'm putting the kind of angling it around, and I'm going to do the same thing with the main body of it. I'm going to pinch that. Sometimes in some gearboxes I've even used zip ties to help with this, depending on the way that it works. But this will be fine. I'm just going to use the existing. Well, you know what? It came with these really cool clips. I'm going to use those. So this is what I did. So I actually took the existing clips, and I used the existing clips to help me with this cable management. I really like it. This is going to go out the back for the stock. The air cable needs to go down through the motor hole. And now let's get our trigger out. Now these triggers are awesome, adjustable. There's an adjustable screw and another nut that you can really get a hair trigger if you want it. And the speed softers, they love these. They're very easy to install, very easy to manage, just like that. Pretty good. So I'm gonna get my my top. All right, this piece is vital for your stock, because this is what it screws into to keep your stock on there. So let's put that on. Flat end down, pretty good. And if you want to be extra careful so this thing doesn't move around on you, you can take the screw. I'll screw this in just so this doesn't wiggle around and move on me. Excellent. All right, let's get the cover on. Making sure not to pinch the cables. And this is about that time where I'll adjust the engine so it looks nice and pretty. And we'll go here. And then I'll just get one screw in just to help hold it down. I usually do the long one in the center. All right, so next up I want to test this. I always want to test it before I put it back in the gun. So I've got it all connected. The FCU, the battery's connected, the tank's connected. I don't hear any leaks. Let's test the trigger response. Safety, single, and full auto. It's working pretty good. All right, so I'm gonna disconnect it, and let's continue with our install. All right, now I'm gonna tell you, you do not need all these screws back in here, right? Typically, I know myself, I put about 4 of them back in there. There's not any tension, so we don't need a lot of screws. So put the screws back in. Now, we'll just reverse the steps we just did, and we'll get this in the gearbox. All right, guys, I got the gun back together, and I'm gonna tell you, this is why I love these stocks, man. The FCU management is super easy, and there's plenty of room, and it's easy to get to. Now that I've got the gun back together, I'm going to run another test before we get into the dwell. Oh yeah. Selector switch is working. Sounds very clean. And now it's time to adjust some settings. Let's do that. Alright guys, now you can't see it, but I've actually got this rigged up to a firing box and a chrono. Let's manipulate the dwell. Now I'm setting my PSI level to 100. 100 is adequate for all my assault rifles with the same similar builds. Let's play with this. So I'm going to hit both buttons on the FCU for 5 seconds. There you go. You see the lights are coming on. There's a switch on the side here. I'm going to leave it on the dwell setting, and now I subtract or minus just by hitting the buttons. So my plan is that when I'm hitting this, trying to get my dwell high. So I need to go back up. Very nice. So what you're trying to do, and I'll put a chart up here to help you out, is you're trying to give it just enough dwell to where your FPS is consistent, right? Where your FPS is consistent. Too much dwell and it goes down. Not enough, and it's not enough power. So right now I'm at 336 FPS, which is 1.57 joules. And I could do better. I'm going to keep going up on this a little bit. I think we got it. 1.78 joules. Well, there we have it, guys. Full build with the dwell setting, and this thing's ready to rock. This guy is ready for some use. He'll be taking it to Booney Brothers for the January 1st game, and you'll see him all the time at CZ. Catch you later, guys.